Welcome race fans this evening to round number 1 of the Nordic Challenge series here on RaceSpotTV. Members from the Norwegian, Finnish, Swedish, Danish and Icelandic teams and clubs here taking part in a regional challenge series starting here round 1 will be at Zandvoort. Richard Whiteford joined by Jake Sperry tonight for the challenge series where, Jake, we're going 45 minutes of racing. Fuel limited, so we're having one pit stop, 45 minutes, standing start, Porsche GT challenge cars.
Yeah, the Porsche will be a real challenge here for these drivers. We know that the Porsche is the brand new play toy here, or one of the brand new play toys, shall we say, in the iRacing service, and how many people have already jumped at the chance to try and drive it. It has been an absolutely sensational number of people wanting to make this work in both an endurance sense and in a sprint sense. Today, using it in a sprint sense, and it certainly will prove to be some fantastic action throughout.
Certainly will be, of course. Fantastic series here set up for these guys. Don't forget, if you want live timing and scoring, go to www.RaceSpot.tv/timing. That's www.RaceSpot.tv/timing. As mentioned, of course, Jake, 45 minutes of racing, so sprint format here with a forced pit stop for these guys. Not likely to be tyres. We're looking at fuel only, really.
Yeah, the tyres we know won't be too much of an issue. You can very easily double stack a tyre here in this car, go an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe even 2 hours 15 on one set of tyres alone. So fuel only will be the key here in terms of the racing, and how much you take is going to be the issue. We are looking at drivers coming in at around 25 minutes to half an hour mark around here, so that might become a little bit of a factor, trying to get an extra lap compared to your rivals. But of course it will be who can hold themselves on the island the longest, who can keep themselves in terms of the battling going on.
Certainly is, of course, and actually we've got something showing up from one of the series sponsors next. Here we go. I'm just going to show you this little clip from Reese Bilglass.
Åh, vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris Bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 0909 eller besøk bilglass.no.
That's Reese Bilglass, Norway's leading car glass franchise with over 110 departments spread across the whole country. They replace and repair glass for any road-going vehicles, guaranteed professional customer service and work. Other sponsors, of course, for the series including CU, Norwegian company located in southern Norway. CU engineers and delivers complete surveillance solutions to state buildings, grocery stores, small companies, industry and private housing, with a focus on new technology, preparing them for the future. Also sponsored the series, Team Vikings, a Nordic endurance racing team always looking for more nice racing challenges and drivers interested in endurance racing. Some fantastic sponsors here, of course. Jake, bringing some prizes actually to this series. Looking at, for the season, first place $50, $30 going to second place and $20 to third, with 3 random prizes including $15 for 2 prize winners randomly selected and a dashboard cam from CU, one of the sponsors.
Yeah, and that's one of the things here when you're dealing with racing. You want to be aiming for prizes, and when prizes come into play, maybe things get a little bit more personal. Maybe the rivalries become a little bit more bitterer. Maybe the racing becomes that little bit tighter. And in terms of the action here today, it's going to be about who can hold themselves around this very difficult 4.3-kilometer circuit park Zandvoort. Of course, one of the favourite road circuits of Mr. Will Vincent, and one that proves that action at every single corner can be a monumental challenge to get around.
Certainly can be, this track, a very real challenge. We'll show you that starting grid in just a moment's time, of course, when we actually go across to your race grid. We mentioned standing start here, Jake, so of course always a challenge for these cars, especially as Zandvoort. The run to the first corner is uphill, just
is a little bit uphill, and what also has to be worried about going to turn number 1, it is banked, and banked on cold tyres means that there is a lot more tendency for the car to spin around than in other circuits that you find. Also with a very difficult turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 section, you have to be incredibly careful when you are dealing around this circuit. You've got to make sure that you are just being a little bit cautious in the opening stages, because you don't want to lose the opportunity for the 4-race championship in championship race number 1.
Of course, weather dynamic, of course, for this one, Jake. At the moment, looking at partly cloudy, about 74 degrees Fahrenheit, track temperature a little bit warmer than that, 80. Winds about, well, from the south, 5 miles an hour. Humidity is quite high, about 2/3 humidity at the moment. And it's going to make things a little bit interesting, little tiny bit warmer, shall we say, than default conditions here, but not by a lot.
Not by a lot at all, and well, it's going to be down to, you know, how do you adapt to these conditions here. Although it is partly cloudy, the track maybe is a little bit colder than some drivers would have liked as the grid now comes into fruition.
Certainly does, and we will get you that starting grid now for you on your screen and run through the starting positions. Starting on pole for tonight's event, Jere Tettinen in first, 136.170. Joni Häkkinen in second place, with Mikko Nurmi in third. Jussi Hietala in fourth. Petri Kotavara in fifth place. Mika Happinen in sixth. Tommy Ostergaard in seventh place. And Sindre Setsas in eighth. Marco Mogren in ninth. And Tapani Linilotto in 10th. The rest of the positions on your screen, as I apologise to the viewers right now for my name butchery that's going to happen during this broadcast, Jake.
Well, you know, part of being a broadcaster is trying to pronounce the most difficult names. You don't normally get too much of a challenge from these 27 drivers, but today 27 drivers means 27 very difficult challenges in terms of naming drivers. But let's hope the racing is going to be as long and as exciting as trying to pronounce these names will be.
Certainly is, and the engines will rev up here at Zandvoort, and the green flag will fly. Round 1 of the Nordic Challenge is underway, and Jere Tettinen into the first corner now. Side by side there with second place Joni Häkkinen. Third place clear, that's Mikko Nurmi. We have a challenge there from Hietala. Single file as we run through turn 2, 3 and 4 here. Field all single file, Jake. Apart from a couple of cars towards the rear, but in general things being kind of quiet. Oh, we have a car round. Try and work out who that was for just a second. Number 20, I believe that was. Carl Fredrik Herzog spun around there, running from turn 2 to turn 3, and it was a solo moment there. Got a bit of a, oh no, tap from the number 790 from behind. That's Jonas Overkanaki. Again, destroying the name, I apologise. A little bit of a bump there, but no major damage, Jake.
No major damage, so he's able to keep himself going. He has 45 minutes to do it. Battle for P number 2 then, in effect. Mikko Nurmi trying to get around Jere Tettinen then, and Tettinen going to stay tight to the curb then, moves over to the inside, makes the defence then, maybe an opportunity down to the inside at the Audi S. We'll have a look then down on the brakes here, but he'll have the outside line here, will Nurmi, heading into the right-hander. He gets up on 2 wheels and manages to just hold himself then in position number 3 for now. Under pressure though from Hietala then, right behind as they head towards the final couple of corners.
Certainly is Hietala there, and Nurmi were side by side there. A bit of rubbing through the Audi S's. Although the guy who's run away here, Joni Häkkinen, number 6 machine, pulling clear by a considerable distance there, Jake, over Porsche to Jere Tettinen, dropping back to second place. Gap at the line, 1.6 seconds after a single lap. That is a statement first lap.
Yeah, it certainly is a statement of intent. Side by side there in the middle of the pack is Mika Happinen, and then we'll have a little bit of pressure from Tommy Ostergaard trying to make the moves here, and Ostergaard will have to sit and will have to wait just for a little bit longer here, because, you know, you have to be patient down this stage. It's a 45-minute race, yes. There's pit stops, yes, and strategy, yes, but you also have to remember here, Rachel, you don't want to be taking yourself out of the fight and losing track position. That is key more than anywhere else on a circuit which can be incredibly difficult to overtake in places, as we've seen a couple of looks throughout your field, but looks don't always manifest here, Rachel, into overtakes.
They certainly do not at the moment, and well, the track is very busy here, at least for second place backwards. The 4, the 76, 74 and the 666 all trying to get themselves into position at the moment. A lot of the Black Star Racing Porsches around here. In fact, a lot of your top group are actually from Black Star Racing, apart from, I believe, Tettinen towards the front, the number 4 car, one of the odd ones out in that group, as Nurmi and Hietala, the 2 teammates there, who were banging doors in the Audi S's last lap by, obviously in a friendly manner.
Yeah, Yeah, it certainly is. And well, they all are trying to work together here. You talk about the likes of, say, the Norwegians will be trying to work together here. The Swedish drivers will be trying to work together. The Finnish drivers will need to try and work together because, you know, there's 10 drivers from each team, and each parts of the countries that are in battles and in effect want to be winning that team championship as well. It's so much more complicated than just one driver wants to beat one other driver around here, Rachel, because every driver wants to beat everyone else, but they want their country to come first rather than everything else.
They certainly do. Of course, 10 from each country involved in this event, and well, so far it's Club Finland doing the dirty work as always, with most of the top spots there leading the way. So the Finns looking strong at the moment, doing some fantastic work here. Häkkinen last time by a 36.8, not too far off his qualifying result there. Of course, he didn't get a qualifying time in actually from second place. It wasn't showing one up, but of course great positioning early on, managed to make some time as he's coming up, I believe, on the back end. He's not actually, that's one of his teammates in number 4, so it's actually all Black Star Racing the top, I believe, 7 cars here. Mika Happinen, also a Black Star entry as cars behind him. Tommy Ostgaard, first non-Black Star machine, in number 66. Behind him, that's the 18 of Sindre Setas, running down in the 8th spot with Marco Mogren and Tapani Lignalotto in the 10th spot. Things getting busy out on the racetrack here, Jake, as well, the teammates controlling things towards the front of your field. Look a bit further back. What have we got going on down in mid-pack?
Yeah, we've got quite a few battles here in the mid-pack, although it is starting to string out just a little bit. We have a car off, actually, Jake. Sorry, Audi S is proving to be trouble for, I believe, we'll have a good look at who that was involved in that one. 23 car of Willy Schanke, who just breaks himself there, goes spinning across the gravel. Replay on your screens. Has turned around, has to get himself back facing the correct way. Embarrassing little mistake there from the 23 car, but he gets himself going again, although a little bit of a bad rejoin, but I'm sure he'll manage that one. Yeah, he manages that one well, and he's done very well to actually keep that one out of any wall or barriers. They fight ahead of him as Herzog now tries to get back at Mikael Johansson, tries down the inside. Will he get the position? For the moment, no, they stay side by side, but you know, for Schanke, it's not the position that he would want to be in here. He's made that mistake early, which is arguably the okay thing that's happened here in terms of the racing going on, but he now just has to stay calm and collected as he looks to try and make positions back from people making mistakes.
Certainly is, of course. He's going to try and make his way forwards, but he has, he said, has got Mikael Johansson and Berger Bernes in front of him, not wanting to let him through. A couple of cars singled out a little bit further up your field as we will look forwards through the grid. Looking for some fighting on track, actually, Jake, and seems to be everyone settling in now for this early stint, trying to just make sure they are in the right position. We've got some action towards the middle end of your top 10 there, including Setsas in the 18th and Tommy Ostergaard in that 66 machine. Those two very, very close out of the Audi S's, running now towards the final corner.
Yeah, they are, and they need to get the run here, or does need to get the run to Sindre Setas there, and he needs to really get that run going through towards Tarzan Bok to turn number 1. He's going to back out of it for the moment then, so trying to save fuel potentially in the early goings might be a very clever strategy to be playing here. It's a little bit of a pseudo battle, you could say, at the moment here, Rachel. No one really wanted to put too much pressure on other drivers, just very comfortable in waiting there, as you saw a big lockup actually from the driver in second position in the form of Jerry Titan in there, and that would not be what he wants. And now under pressure here from Mikko Nurmi, who has a look but doesn't need to necessarily make the move at this early stage.
Of course, teammates there not going to make risky moves on each other perhaps at this stage of the race, but certainly looking like he is the faster car right now, and that's yellow 76 machine. The red car there, Jari Tettinen, the dark red car, is trying to hold his position here as they run up through the lap. With a look there by Nurmi as he gets his nose inside, Jake. Just a slightly tighter exit there. Will have the turns to the outside line, so good defensive positioning here by Tettinen. Nurmi still trying to find an opening, but it's just not looking as profitable unless he can make an undercut.
Yeah, well, you saw he tried the inside last time. He tried to make the move. They get close. There's almost a little bit of contact as well into the corner, but they hold themselves together. So Nurmi still prodding his way around the outside, say, of Jerry Titanen, and Titanen will be very happy just to see another lap then in second position overall. It has brought Hitala back into this fight then for this final 2 spots on the podium, shall we say. And in this situation here, Rachel, you have to feel it's going to be a case of try and manage and conserve yourself throughout this race. Remember, there's a 23 instant limit around this circuit here this evening. So in terms of trying to deal with just making sure that the off tracks don't happen, that's going to be something that just plays into the mind, just making sure that you are just trying to keep it on the tarmac.
Senier's gap now to the leader, 3.2 seconds at this stage, Jake, as the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th place cars, they're starting to bunch up. They had spread out. That's Tetanen, Nurmi, Itala and Kvara all getting very close now. Black Star Racing Porsches are all over each other at the moment. Of course, driving patiently, as we mentioned, Happen, and behind them just a bit of a gap to him, and it's still close between Ostergaard and Setsas for the 7th and 8th spots. Some gaps further back. Marco Rogren running on his own, as is Stepani Lignoleto rounding out your top 10. Victor Drevgaard running just behind that group with Jonas Ovastamaki. Other drivers going on so far, Jake. Anyway, really spreading out here. Traffic getting to be less of an issue. These guys doing what they have to do in terms of line. But Roger Berger down here, 25 car, going after that 46 of Mikael Tonseth. This will be for the 20th spot.
It will be here, and there's not many points to be playing for, but every point is vital. A look to the inside from Roger Berge, and he's going to hold it on the inside, but doesn't have enough pace to go through. Had to take a couple stabs at the brake there to get himself going through the corner. Now that's going to allow Dali Jankovic to get back into this position then, and maybe have a look down the inside. Not going to be able to do that then for the moment, but you can see there the driver of Tonseth runs a little bit wide through the mid part of the corner. That's going to allow then the driver Roger Berge to maybe get a good run out of these final 2 corners on the brakes to just 115 kilometers an hour then for these drivers, and then trying to get themselves back on the power as quickly as they possibly can.
Seniors, and one thing that always surprises me, Jake, we see such a tight line there through the Audi S, but you have to remember that corner is quite banked, allowing those cars to take a very, very tight apex around that corner. Perhaps a little bit more tighter than we might expect, but oh, we might have a big lockup there from the front of that group. That was Tonseth making a huge lockup into the first corner there onto this, the 7th lap here of this 45-minute race. We're about 10 minutes in here, Jake, so we're about to think about pit stops, about maybe 10 to 12 minutes at this time. When do you pit? Do you pit early, of course? You've got enough fuel for 30 minutes or so in this race of 45. Do you pit early? Do you pit late? Or do you pit in the middle?
Difficult to argue here, because someone might have decided to short fill and then go for the... Yep, and we see a car there off, and that is the number 25 machine there. That's Roger Berge that we just saw there going off, and that's up at the very, very fast right-hander called Shivak then. He just gets himself on the outside. There was a bit of locking up in front of him, and maybe was a little bit scared of collecting Tonseth, so takes and bails to the outside, and of course it's banked gravel on the outside, which really does have the ability to maybe flip a car or really wreck the underside or the underneath of the vehicle, so does very well to hold himself back into position there, Rachel, in terms of that. But going back to the point, you want to be in a situation going through, as we actually see Tonseth go off at the Audi S as well, so Tonseth really struggling here. But to go back to the point to try and go for a 3rd time, I think it depends on position where you are. If you're at the front, you go late. If you're at the rear, you go early.
Certainly a great way to divide that one up. Looking at our Black Star cars towards the front, well, the top 6 machines, all Black Star Racing here, and they have checked out, racing patiently in line here. Bit of a train going on. No Jarno Trulli in sight, but they're doing a very good impression here, Jake. These cars not fighting position, they're staying fairly well paced, but the gap behind them, 3 seconds to the 7th spot, and Tommy Ostergaard. No real contest yet. They're just running their laps, not interfering with each other, not costing each other time, building those gaps.
I like the fact that Black Star are all working together here, but there may become a time during the racing here, Rachel, where one driver won't be satisfied with being the number 5 driver or the number 6 driver in this team, and they'll want to attack and they'll want to try and improve their ranking. in terms of the Black Star hierarchy. So that might come into play towards the end of the race here, Rachel, when drivers get impatient and think, you know what, why don't we start battling? I think I'm a better driver than you. It will allow drivers like Setsas and also Oscar back into play, and we got some great battles going on throughout the field, the likes of Vastamaki here versus Andbjorn Lonig here, Loning even, right now in the battles for 12th and 13th. 790 in the 22, rounds himself past the penultimate corner and will need to get a good run out to the final one in order to get close. I don't think it's quite close enough.
Not looking quite close enough at all at this stage of the races. We are entering that first part of the pit window now, Jake, so pit window will be opening about a minute or two now. We'll see our very first pitters come down there. Now they could be coming from the back of the field, the front of the field, or anywhere where they are following other cars, perhaps not able to get past just yet. Actually, have a look at the O2 here of Alexander Ludenich, looking to the inside of Jan Brunn. Couldn't quite make that one happen, but he will stay in line for now. This is a sort of position where you see that O2 car maybe come down pit road, Jake, for an early stop, try to undercut the car of Brunn. Maybe try and get a better run down pit road. Got lots of tyre lockups here. These guys really getting these cars light on the inside wheels as they get turned into the corners. But for now, running well on the racetrack. Looking back towards the front of your field, Joni Häkkinen, gap 3.2 seconds. Hasn't really opened up to his teammates, but of course it looks like he's maintaining that gap here, Jake. He's running his lap times very consistently. If we look at those lap times from him, of course, if you want to look at the actual timing and scoring, folks, don't forget you can go to www.RaceSpot.tv/timing. RaceSpotTV/timing.
I mean, you can see he's just pulling out that gap and just trying to maintain and manage a race, say like a Sebastian Vettel would or a Lewis Hamilton would, just trying to make sure that there is no real issues with the vehicle, making sure he's running well within his capable potential, you could say, right now. And when it comes to the pit stop window, you know, they only need to put in a set amount of fuel if they fueled the car up to the brim going off on the racing. So in terms of that, if you only got to put in X amount of fuel into the vehicle, the pit stop times, we won't really see too much of a difference, but the difference will be track position. If you are stuck in the middle of a train, which not many drivers are, it will be beneficial if you can get yourself back into play by trying to use the pit stop to your advantage here. A driver like, say, Borge Burns, who has a lot of pressure here from Roger Burge behind him there, the 7 and the 25, they might be thinking pit early here. They're down at the bottom of the field here, Rachel. They don't have much to lose. They both stay out, though, for another lap.
So they do a little bit of an off for the 23 car of Willy Shanker, just going off towards the final corner, actually. Not a great place to do that. Lose a lot of time running up the front stretch, but keeps his car facing in the right direction and maintains his momentum. Under attack from behind from Michael Tonseth, who has not had enough, so maybe he can take this opportunity to catch 23 car just up ahead of him. Dirty tyres, of course, on the 23 could be a bit of a problem, but he runs wide there. 46 car running wide there in corner number 3, killing his own opportunity to use that momentum, Jake.
Yeah, he really was killing his momentum there to get past Shanker, and Shanker's errors there was just getting a little bit too greedy. Actually does get, again, a little bit too greedy about taking as much as he can from the left-hand side of the circuit for the out of apexes here. He's just clipping the grass ever so slightly. That's just burning up the tyres a little bit, Rachel. And once the tyres burn up to begin with, it means that it makes it a lot harder when the surface temperature of the tyre raises up towards the 180s, the 190s that you see, and it means that driving this circuit becomes a million times more difficult.
Certainly does, and we'll take a quick look at Mr. Consistent Joni Häkkinen, and his lap times. Of course, starting in the 36s, then dropped consistently into the 37s, now slowing up to maybe 38.2s here, so there is a drop-off in time we're seeing. The gap maintaining back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, so not that that is any sort of difference in his personal performance, but the cars do seem to be getting a little bit slower if we look at other people's timings, Jake. So a reasonable drop-off we're noticing in this one. Some drivers maintaining better than others, drivers perhaps who are a little bit slower to start with, maintaining a little bit better, those guys pushing harder. We're seeing a definite degradation, so will we see anybody risk taking tyres at one of these tracks to gain an advantage? Will it be an advantage? Of course, I believe these cars, Jake, they take tyres after fuel, so it is actually a time loss situation.
I don't think they're taking tyres, and I don't think it's a degradation factor here, Rachel. I think you look at, say, the lap times that Tommy Osgaard has been putting in. He's been putting in consistent 1:38s lap after lap after lap. I think this is more a case of trying to manage the race due to the sort of drivers and the pace that's there. Joni Heikkinen could very well easily put in the 1:36.8 every single time if he was pressured into it. But I think that he doesn't feel like he's under threat, and he's got 5 drivers behind him who are all playing the same game as him, Rachel. I think they're all very happy to run at Osgaard's pace here because they know that they're not going to be under too much threat come at the end of the event here, Rachel.
Certainly is that way. Jake gap to the lead still about 3 seconds. Come down by about a 10th between Heikkinen and teammate Tettinen. Black Star Racing still dominating this event with the top 6 cars in line. All the various colours. The bright red of Heikkinen, the dark red of Tettinen, Nurmi's yellow, Vitella's blue, Gotavara's pink, and Happenen's green. Those cars all running in a beautifully synchronised line in their team colours. Black Star Racing's livery has always been quite a pretty one there, Jake, but they definitely stand out here with all the different colours.
They certainly do here, and well, I mean, you could argue that Redline does exactly the same thing as well, so taking a bit of inspiration certainly there in terms of the battling. We are still seeing, though, that there are some battles here and there that are going closer. I mean, you talk about Vastamaki and Löning here in the same battle still. This circuit isn't one that normally promotes close racing in terms of you really have an opportunity. I mean, you can look at this corner here of Renault. You can try and get down to the inside, but it doesn't work here for Löning. Maybe at Vodafone, you might have a different opportunity. But again, there seems to be a little bit of a dirty air effect. Not much of one, but enough that is just keeping these battles from getting any closer. And this circuit isn't really helped, Rachel, by the fact that the straights all have sort of turns in them, so you're not actually running at 100% full throttle, no turning at all around this circuit.
Absolutely right, Jake. And there are very few corners where we have more than, well, I should say one apex in the same direction here, so it's not like there's 2 right-handers or 2 left-handers. It's always switching back and forth, so defense very easy at this racetrack. You should always, if you go defensive, be on the inside for the next line, so it's going to make things a lot simpler for these boys. We were looking at Vestamaki there and Löning. No real change in their positions. The gap opened up once again. As you mentioned, not really a battling track here, Jake. It's definitely a driver's circuit, in that it does promote some serious competition in terms of lap times, but as you mentioned, not one of those wide, easy racetracks where we see a lot of wheel-to-wheel action. Looking at the 111 heading on to pit road right now. That's Dal Jankovic heading onto pit road for his service. Not expecting to see him go up on the jacks, one of our first takers here, if not the first taker for service tonight. Shouldn't be a long pit stop here, taking on about half of what he started the race with, I think, at this time. Just top that tank off and he'll be good to go to the end. He's off pit road, no tyres there. Drops him back out around the 25th spot there, just behind the Lightning McQueen entry, belonging to Mikael Johansson. That's quite a fun one there. The 95 is apparently the 8 here. That could be a little confusing for us up in the broadcast booth, Jake, but looks like Lightning McQueen's out on track for some action.
Yeah, certainly is. Certainly isn't an oval, but one of the closer road circuits, you could argue, to an oval in terms of the racing action. Of course, you've got side-by-side for position number 3 here, I do believe it is, as Nurmi now under threat from Hietala. Hietala tried to go around the outside, didn't quite manage to make that move happen here, Rachel. And again, into 3 now, down on the brakes, this long left-hander, which is banked as well, and a very difficult exit as well up the hill. Hietala is close, but again, close is not close enough.
Certainly not, and Hietala and Nurmi have been 2 drivers that have actually been the closest to battling all race long. From some paint trading in the early laps, they've always been the closest, and Hietala has always been the one looking for that opportunity to pass his teammate there in a 76 car. So we could see some action from those guys. There's another good run by Hietala. Can he look to the inside? Not yet. He will remain patient. Of course, a little early for dramatic moves, but just past halfway here in this race, Jake, and, well, we're not seeing a lot of racing.
We're not, but we have seen another driver come down onto pit road, and that's Tor Anders Beveren. of the 13 machine here, getting himself out of pit road right now. So needing to get himself into position, does get himself into position, as we just saw Nurmi maybe take a little bit of a wider line into the entry of the Audi S there. Manages to get that pinched back on the exit, but this is a thinking man's race here. This is a chess race right now we're seeing. It's not going to be your exciting race where you are going to see drivers go left and right and side by side for 18 billion corners. This is about when do you make the right move. This is your thinking man's race, and for the moment here, we are seeing the thinking man really challenging themselves in terms of the action going on. Vasamaki under a lot of pressure then from Loning as they head to the penultimate corner.
Certainly is, and Tor Anders Berven, we just mentioned a little minute ago, one of the few cars with some damage on his race car here, Jake. Front bumper, a little bit crumpled on that machine, so this could be costing him time. As 21, oh, we had a crash, we believe, with the 21 machine of Marco Mogren. We'll take a look to see what happened for Marco. And it was, yes, Jake.
Yeah, that was not the nicest area to have a little bit of an incident, shall we say. I believe that is coming out of the penultimate corner, if I am not too quite mistaken there. So, you know, you have the ability to really try and push yourself into a corner like that one, Rachel, because the corner, it invites you in, and then it tries to spit you out again. In the end, it's caught out Marco Mogren.
Has the Radical Steel Series machine there sitting on pit road, minus his front bumper and hood. Not going to be a good situation for him there as we look back to the action on track, and keep our eyes here on Nurmi and Hitala. Might we see Hitala go for pit stops a little bit earlier than teammate Nurmi, trying to get a better outlap perhaps to beat his teammate for that position without having to do it on the racetrack and lose time, Jake?
Might do here, and you know, he's also fighting with Titan and wants to get past him, so maybe going early might be a good advantage here. You can see rounds himself through the right-hander, tries to see whether anybody will try and drop himself onto the aim. They both stay out then in terms of the battling going on, so it might just be a case here of everyone will come in at the same time, because that's the team strategy that they're all trying to work at Blackstar. Another difference here is they're all fighting for themselves, as we've seen Hitala and Nurmi start to do just a little bit, and if they're starting to fight amongst themselves here, Rachel, there is potential that they might start holding each other up and allow drivers like Oscar and Setstas back in.
There certainly is the opportunity for that one. We'll keep our eyes on how these guys perform, as we're starting to get our takers here for the pit stops, as the 19 and the 20, Anders Christiansen and Carl Frederick Hersig.
Well, Christensen goes off there, Rachel, at the penultimate corner, smacks the Armco, and that's going to mean that it's a short run to pit road, but it might be a hefty pit stop time.
Certainly looking that way for Anders Christiansen, as he will pull himself down onto the pit road now. A very slow entry there after a very embarrassing off for the final corner there. The RaceSpotTV machine not looking the best it could do at this stage of the race. Hopefully RaceSpotTV will be able to replace that for him.
Maybe so here, and well, for Christiansen, the issue came at that penultimate corner with taking too much of the outside curb. There is no margin for error with the outside curb, especially with trying to take it with, say, the gravel on the outside. That means that there could be a huge issue in terms of that one. It is worth knowing that there is no fast repair here in this series, so if you're damaged, that's going to be pretty much all she wrote in that one, and that was a very hefty incident and a very hefty hit as well.
Certainly was, and showing just how tricky this track is if you break your concentration here, Jake, as another car heading to pit road, as numerous takers there on the pit lane now getting service, getting their fuel tanks topped off in this motor race.
Yeah, there certainly are here, and you know what we have been noticing though, it's the drivers at the rear end of the field who are deciding to come down in and make those stops here, so they're not really pitting at the front of the field, so that strategy game at the front certainly is still coming into effect in terms of the actions going on. The 25 machine though has run into a spin, and that's Roger Burge yet again here in terms of the action going on, and that's a spin coming out of Renault, one of the slowest points of the circuit, and he locked the front going in on the way in, tried to recover it, but it's a half spin and a half spin only, Rachel.
Certainly is. We'll keep our eyes here on Sindre Setas and Tommy Ostergaard. The 66 and the 18 machines here running down through the midpoint of your lap. Not changed for position yet, Jake, but two of the cars have been incredibly close in this one, and Setas might have a look here. Closest he's been for quite a while in that BFR machine. Not close enough to make it stick, though. He's definitely putting his nose in. Wants to try and make a look, but just can't find room.
But Tommy Osgaard's done very well on the brakes. You can see a big wiggle trying to slow the car down there from the driver of Sindre Setsas there. And he tried everything just to get that car slow. He slows it down properly and gets himself going. And, well, you know, you're now seeing here Tommy Osgaard trying to close down Sindre Setsas with a very unique helmet.
Joni Häkkinen pitting from the lead here. We'll have a quick look at him as he heads onto pit road for his service. Your leader started in second place. Joni Häkkinen took the lead on the first lap and has been dominant so far in the first half of our race.
Worth noting here, Rachel, that Jerry Titanen has also followed him down in. So first and second have decided to bite the bullet at the same time. And we're looking at this being the sort of the latest you can possibly go. Maybe one lap further. I think they're all about to come in.
Certainly looking like it right now, of course, as we're about 30 minutes in. So this is on the edge of our fuel window. About 16 minutes to go in this race. So these guys pitting as their tanks are empty. Häkkinen there, held up slightly by the number 6 car, a lap down. Trying to get him out of the way so he can get through. No problems there as he got past Mikael Johansson in the 8, sorry, not the 6. But it has cost him maybe a second or so there. So Joni Häkkinen will drop that lead shortly, but not by a huge margin, as Nurmi and Hietala, well, we're waiting to see whether they can do anything here. Whether they'll pit this time by, perhaps, Jake. Maybe one of them will, and one next time by.
I don't think they've got enough fuel, really, to go any longer than they have right now. I think they're all due to come down onto the lane. They head themselves through the Audi S. 2 corners to go, then, in terms of the lap right now to start their 19th lap of the event. Nurmi holds the advantage then, going a full 15 kilometers an hour quicker than some of the drivers there in the mid part of the field, just able to get more turning into the corner there. And the Black Star way certainly is the right way. Nurmi will decide to make a late dive in. You can see Hietala dives in, Kotavara, Harpinen will drive in, Oscar came in on the last lap as well. They're all in, Rachel.
All 4 there of the remaining cars from Black Star Racing hit pit road, and Hietala started that one. He was the car that chose to come to pit road, Jake, and you saw Nurmi was running out wide for the normal entry exit from the corner to not pit. He saw the guy behind him pit and thought, nope, I'm coming in too, and then the rest of the team followed him in as all 4 of the Black Star cars on pit road there. And they come out just, next to contact! Big contact there, huge teammate incident between Mikko Nurmi, and tell me that was not your former race leader.
It was Titanen.
It was Titanen. Second place runner Titanen, hip checked out of the way by teammate Nurmi. I would not like to be in the garage after this race.
I wouldn't either. I think that's a very difficult decision to make there in terms of who was at fault, because Titanen, although he's there on the outside, he's carrying the overspeed into the corner. You look at the driver, say, of Mikko Nurmi, he's in a different position where he's just getting out and trying to get back into racing again, maybe a little bit obscured. It's a 2-into-1 situation where Nurmi is pinched right on the inside on a banked corner, and, well, for all the intents and purposes, I believe that the debrief will be a little bit more unfortunate in terms of the racing that has gone on here today.
I wish I could be a fly on the wall for that one. Some fantastic team racing from Black Star, but a bit of a error there as mistakes were made by Mikko Nurmi along with teammate Titanen there. Unfortunately, Titanen ending up flipping across the gravel. Yeah, I can imagine it's probably already an argument, but that left some damage on the car of Nurmi. Can Hietala use that as an opportunity to gain advantage here, Jake? Can he finally get past?
Maybe he might have an ability here to get past, will the driver of Juuso Hietala. It's worth noting, is there any damage on Mikko Nurmi's machine? And there is an ever so slight slither of damage, maybe, on the front, so that might be something that could play into its hands a little bit later on. It looks maybe just cosmetic only, and maybe a few little scrapes here and there, but if that's the case, then Hietala will have to do all the work that he's been trying to do in the opening half an hour and try and do it all over again. The big difference, though, is the gap's now about 5.5 seconds to Joni Häkkinen.
Certainly is. Häkkinen had a great pit stop there, no trouble for him. Gaining time, in fact, on that pit stop. Nurmi and Hietala there for second and third at the moment after the second place runner ended up bouncing off his teammate. We'll see if other teammate Hidala can get through here without any problems on his teammate, or will he be stuck in third? But Black Star, really the story of the race so far here, Jake. Absolute performance from those guys. And, wow, can anybody beat them?
That is going to be the question. It seems that for the moment that nobody's even coming close. We saw Sindre Sestas there manage to get through on Tommy Oscar during the stops.
Huge move. Sorry, I just saw a massive move there from the 18 car on, I believe that was a 17. Wasn't full position, okay, so that's probably why it looked so big, but it looked like a massive dive, Jake.
Yeah, it certainly did. I was busy focusing on this battle going on for P14 here. Alexander Ludin-Ek here with the likes of Dali Jankovic and also Patrick Nyborg all together on circuit. And Tor Anders Berven actually towards the end of that pack. So 4 cars all split by about 2 seconds then when they last crossed the line. And all look to go line astern just for the time being. Car will go wide though and run off. That's the car of Dali Jankovic then having a big issue. Slightly misjudging the braking point and missing the apex by a country mile.
Certainly is, of course, Dali Jankovic there, trying to get himself back up to speed here. Losing some momentum. What we're seeing from a lot of these cars, though, we just saw Ludin in front of him. Big lockups from a lot of these vehicles here, Jake. They are really struggling to keep these things from burning up those inside tyres. And with this being a clockwise circuit, that means they are having some perhaps troubles for those inside wheels, that right side tyres, getting a little bit worn.
Maybe so here. It's a very difficult car to drive. You drive this car differently to any other car in the iRacing service. You look to use this car potentially when it comes to braking. You're braking, then you're gearing here. Normally when you're braking in terms of a race, you know, you're gearing at the high end. Here, you're gearing at the low end. It's a little bit counterproductive to what you normally drive, Rachel, and that means that, you know, sometimes lockups occur. Sometimes, you know, when you're focusing on other parts of the braking phase, you know, sometimes your little left pedal can get a little bit too heavy.
Certainly can do and will do. I think it's closed up for the Black Star guys for the 2nd, 3rd and 4th spots right now, as Nurmi and Hidala joined by Kotavara and Happanen lagging back a little bit, but still also involved in this group. Pateri there. Actually, no, it's Pateri Kotavara involved behind them. Happanen the one lagging back slightly, but also involved. About 2 seconds behind his teammates there. Watching him race into the first corner. This 3-car train could be interesting. Will Kotavara have something to bring to the fight with Nurmi? Or can Hidala finally get past his teammate?
That might be a case here that we need to just see a little bit more racing out of it. I think that after the incident that we saw, maybe it's going to be a no messing now, guys. We want to make sure that we're scoring here because they've lost arguably one of the keys to their team there in the form of what was going to be Jerry Titanen. So in fact, the racing, we've only lost 3 vehicles overall. That says quite a bit about the racing here. We haven't had too much side-by-side. We haven't had too much contact. And the mistakes that have been made here, Rachel, they've been able to recover from them as quickly and as effectively as they possibly could have.
Certainly is, as Nurmi, Hidala and Kotavara there. Still in line, going to try and see if they can do anything here. Not long left. This one is Vastamaki in the 790 coming up behind Victor Dravegaard here. Can he hold on? It's actually Vastamaki and Learning. I forgot the names of the drivers. I got them backwards. Vastamaki, the lead car there, black and white entry ahead of the blue and yellow car of Learning. What has that 22 car got for the 790? Can he find a way through? Or will he be stuck in line here? Some minor damage actually on Vastamaki's machine. Will it be a disadvantage? He gets himself out a little bit wide. The 22 car, oh, he wobbles and he loses some momentum. Has to try and slow down to correct the slide he had. And through goes Learning.
Yeah, well, that was a very easy one there for Learning. He saw that the vehicle of Vastamaki was losing the back end, trying to hold the slide, and in the end, he managed to correct the slide to Vastamaki, but now he's got to do the work now all over again. He did manage to get himself through earlier on, but now holds himself in a very good position in terms of the racing action that is there in going on right now. And well, what also has to be argued, though, is that the timer is ticking away in this race. We are now under 10 minutes for the end of the race, Rachel, that's going to mean that we've got about 6 to 7 laps left going on. So in terms of trying to get yourself to the white flag, there'll be drivers here whose goals won't be to get laps. The likes of, say, Dali Jankovic here in this battle with Jan Brony here for position number 17 on circuit. And well, for Jan, he's holding on to this position in the 64, the 111 of Jankovic, trying everything, but at the moment just needs to find that one solid line to make something happen.
Certainly does, and can he make it happen? That is the question. Nobody really managed to make anything happen on track so far other than take advantage of mistakes, Jake. All the cars looking incredibly, well, stable where they are. Everyone running in their positions. Passing so difficult here that we are literally waiting for mistakes to happen to take advantage of them. Otherwise, we've not seen much on-track action.
No, we haven't here, and part of that is down to the fact that Black Star are looking to try and control this race and don't want anything to happen to all their vehicles, and that's to be expected here from the racing that you've got. But you look at how the field's spread out. There is you don't like saying it, but there is a little bit of diversity here in maybe ability of drivers, which means that the side-by-side and the close racing between the 6, 7, 8 cars doesn't quite happen as often as maybe it should. But, take no credit away from the drivers who have got themselves inside the top 10, the likes of, say, a Victor Dregard or a Tapani Linaluoto or a Tommy Osgaard. They've driven some fantastic quiet races here and have just made sure that they've kept themselves clean, kept themselves on the island, and are scoring some very nice points for some different teams.
As they certainly are doing just that. And, well, as the race progresses into its final 5 minutes, based on my clock, 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Things are looking pretty set in stone right now. Joni Häkkinen, 5.5 second gap over second place teammate Mikko Nurmi in a train with Juuso Hietala and Petteri Kotavara. No one looking like they can really challenge this group. They have controlled this one flawlessly. Mikko Häkkinen just behind them, and then 4 seconds back to the first non-teammate, and that is Sindre Sestas and Tommy Ostergaard in the 6th and 7th places. Tapani Linileto running in the 8th spot with Victor Dregard in 9th and Anjborn Joling in 10th. Things very close here. Can Västermäki make his way into that top 10? That could be an interesting one. Can he fight back here, Jake, in the final moments and get a spot back, get himself a top 10 result as he runs wide there, trying to take a look at the car of Västermäki? Can he do it?
I think he's trying to play scare tactics here, going deep into the corners, trying to really make sure that, he can do anything possible to really scare Andrew Loning into making a mistake here. It hasn't worked for the moment. You're going to see again, he runs in deep, but manages to get himself onto the apex and hold himself together. Just look at the lap times that Västermäki is doing compared to earlier on. He's actually running some lap times here that are probably some of the quickest that he's done. Maybe not the 139s that we saw earlier, but, there is maybe a little bit of tyre drop-off, but not enough to say, come down in and make some pit stops here. And that maybe just be the case here of trying to find just that one overtaking opportunity, but the gap has opened up here in this battle to 9/10 of a second.
Certainly has, and we'll see if that will change at all. But everyone's tyres looking a little bit slippery at the moment. We've seen more mistakes from cars recently, Jake, than we have for the duration of the race. So 45 minutes, it's looking like the tyres getting a little bit squirrely towards the end.
Yeah, they are here, and when you do have that little bit of an unknown variable, you just want to make sure that you can get it to the finish line when the timer runs out. That might be something where a couple of drivers might be caught out. Hopefully not the case, but looking at that battle for the final spots on the podium, it might be that they're going to stay in formation, but if Hietala wanted to make the move, I'm pretty sure he could make that move. Maybe team orders come into play, but you see the driver Mikko Nurmi taking a wider line through the final corner as if to open up the corner for what was that final run down the front straightaway. And again, he's close, but Hietala is not prepared to make a dive down the inside. It
looked like Hietala there just backed out in the run towards turn 1 there. Looks like he could have made a late charge, but his momentum seemed to check, Jake, as he headed up towards turn 1. So staying in line on purpose, perhaps.
Maybe. I mean, we saw the incident earlier on, and nobody wants to be seeing their own teammate out of the race. But, with that incident, maybe that's the, come on, let's realign, let's refocus. And you know, it might be some pseudo battling towards the end here in this race, with the fact that we got probably 2 laps left to go when they cross the line here in terms of the action, maybe even 1 lap to go when they cross the line, Rachel. So in terms of what has been happening, it's been Häkkänen's race at the front and nobody's really been there to challenge him, mainly because it's their own teammates, and a big wiggle from Nurmi actually coming out of Renault.
Certainly was there as he headed through the carousel here. Up the inside goes Hitala, but he'll be on the outside unless he can get a good run here. Can he make the cutback? That could be critical. It's the closest he's been to overlapping his teammate. Runs wide, tries to get the look in as he head towards the Audi S. Again, not close enough. Just not in position, Jake. These seem to be struggling so hard here to get any sort of meaningful overlap with the car to take advantage in a corner. Everybody here is so equally balanced.
Yeah, they are, and well, that's just a testament to Blackstar's pool of depth, shall we say, and the depth of talent that they have, that they can all fight each other and they can all get incredibly close. Gap across the line then with 2 laps to go, Rachel. It's just 0.3 of a second. If he wants to get it done, he's only got 2 more opportunities and about 8.5 kilometers to make it work.
He certainly does, and we'll keep our eyes on that one for now. The battle for the second step on the podium will go 2 laps now to the end. 2 laps remaining, and we'll see if they can make this one happen. It's teammates all around them, so no real pressure right now. Total of 6 seconds back after happening to the first non-teammate, Andreas Estas. Can Juuso Hitala make a move here in the dying moments? Teammate Joni Häkkinen is checked out. 6.7 seconds gap for your leader over second place teammate Mikko Nurmi. Can Nurmi hold on though, Jake? Can Mikko Nurmi maintain that position and pride of place of second here? And might that slightly nullify his assisting teammate Jari Tettinen into the gravel?
It's worth noting here that it doesn't matter who your teammates are, but there will be post-race issues maybe that might come into play here. The likes of, say, you know, the penalty system that they have in place. You know, even though it might just be in terms of an appeal system only, I think that may be the one drawback you could say in terms of what's going on, is that teammates won't like to protest one over another. But for Nurmi, you know, he's got 1 lap to go. He's just got to hold on to the vehicle, and he's actually now extending the gap over this lap to about 0.4 of a second here, Rachel. So for Mikko Nurmi, it's just keep it on the island, and I think he's home safe.
Certainly could be. Well, Joni Häkkinen onto his final lap here against his teammates. The gap last time by, it didn't change. 6.7 seconds. This is how fast these guys are going. Nurmi's last lap was a 38.155. Häkkinen, a 38.110. 0.04 of a second difference. This is how close these teammates are running. Hitala, 38.4. So a little bit slower that time by Jake. He definitely lost some momentum. And this final lap will be over very rapidly for these guys. And it has been a very interesting first race. Perhaps not the raciest track we've come to for the start of your season here in the Nordic Challenge. But a statement nonetheless by the boys from Blackstar Racing that this is their championship. Will the rest of the rounds be as favourable?
Potentially, but that might just have to come down to who can actually step up their game. Likes of a Tommy Osgaard or a Sindre Setsas needs to really work on it. Likes of, say, a Victor Dravegaard. This is a statement from everyone. You need to improve your pace if you want to get anywhere close to scratching the surface of these drivers up at the front.
Certainly is, and out of your final corner will come Joni Häkkinen to win round number 1 of the Nordic Challenge here on RaceSpotTV. First points in the bag for the Finnish driver from Blackstar Racing. Joni Häkkinen first, with Mikko Nurmi holding on for second place. Juuso Hitala for the third spot. Petteri Kotavara and Mikko Häkkinen, your top 5, all Blackstar Racing, and the gauntlet has been placed.
Certainly has here, and well, you know, sometimes racing can be as simple as that. Sometimes it might be a different story in terms of the racing. We still have battles going on, the likes of Willy Shanker trying to get past Martin Telgaard. This a lap down for 21st position overall here. And what you are seeing here, just how close the 17 and the 23 are going at it. Telgaard has the ability then to just try and hold off to the end. Shanker gets a great run coming out of the corner, but just has to lift off a little bit and won't be able to make the move to the end, Rachel.
Certainly doesn't either. Looking at the 13 and 20 here of Carl Fredrik Herzog and Tor Anders Berven. Not that close anymore. They've dropped back, in fact, from each other as they head into the Audi S for the final time. This is 14th and 15th spot. Big gap there, not likely to change things. Tor Anders Berven going to take that spot, and it was Patrick Nyborg, sorry, not Carl Fredrik Herzog. They'll come across the line now in the order they were running in. No position changes for these guys. In fact, looking at the qualifying orders compared to race orders, biggest changes. Lunning moving up 4 spots from 14th to 10th. And Kim Salvesen, 16th to 12th. Jake, 21st to 15th as well for Patrick Nyborg. Biggest mover of the race with 6 positions. A lot of cars ending up a lap down though, 19th through 27th.
Yeah, 19th through 27th, ending up laps down or not finishing here. But, you know, a fantastic race result then when all was said and done for those towards the front. If anything was going to be running that way, and if they wanted things to be this easy, well, you know, they got the result they wanted out of race 1. They've got 3 more races to do it.
They certainly do. And without further ado, your post-race results. Coming home in the first place tonight, Joni Häkkinen with a fantastic race, dominating from the start. Mikko Nurmi in second place, with Juuso Hyttälä in third. Petteri Kotavara in the 4th spot. Mika Happinen in 5th. Sindri Setas in the 6th spot. Tommy Ostgaard in 7th. Tapani Liniloto in 8th. Victor Drevgaard in 9th. And Abjorn Loning in 10th. Rest of those results up on your screen. And we are going to try and get a chance to chat to Joni Häkkinen, your race winner here. But first off, we'll have a quick chance to chat to second place finisher Mikko Nurmi. Mikko, second place today. Fantastic result for you. Statement from your team, taking all top 5 spots here. But how was the race for you, and what can you tell us about your pit road exit?
Well, first of all, I had really issues with the setup. It was a little bit too oversteery for my taste. I should have adjusted it, but it was more about survival, this race with this setup for me. About the pit exit, I didn't see Jere at all. I could only hear him, and he said to me that he didn't see me at all, so I don't really know.
One of those miscommunications on the racetrack then, just unsighted from teammates, and mistakes will sometimes happen. But second place still and top 5 for your team. It's got to be a good feeling starting off the season.
Yeah, sure. We've had a lot of practice in the Finnish Sim Racing Championship with this car, so it's I think all that practice is really paying off with this.
It certainly seems to be. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mikko Nurmi. And second up, we'll talk to Juuso Hyttälä, your teammate here. Juuso, third place, couldn't quite get past Mikko. Tough race?
Yeah, really tough race. Our setup was quite on edge all the time, and I saw Mikko make mistakes, but couldn't get past him. And also I made quite a lot of mistakes too.
Well, it seems like the setup was a bit of a challenge, according to what Mikko just told us. The track, not one that lends itself to passing, really. Was the team strategy in place just to maintain positions?
No, we were going full tilt, everyone, so we are here to race.
It would seem so. Well, fantastic result from you and the rest of your Black Star teammates. Whilst we wait for your teammate and the race winner to turn up, if Joni Häkkinen is going to join us, we'll talk to 4th place finisher here, Petteri Kotavara. Petteri, Again, I'll ask you the same question I asked to both your teammates already. Seeing as Black Star locked out the top 5, good race.
Yeah, thank you. What else? I was just sitting in the draft of my teammates Mikko and Juuso and basically couldn't do anything because they were fighting for the position, and when I tried to push the 1% over 100, I couldn't get closer, so I just had to chill and sit in the draft.
Well, a relaxing first round for you, perhaps. The tyres seemed to get a little squirrely towards the end of the race from what we saw up in the commentary box. It seemed that cars having quite a positive steering input at the start of the race seemed to be a little squishy and slidey towards the end. Was that the case?
Yeah, I think it was the case for everybody as for us, for our team, because always from the slow speed exits the tail was getting happy, so you had to little bit just concentrate for it.
Well, that certainly is something that was perhaps expected, and the racing, of course, at different tracks will be very different. Is this something to do with Zandvoort perhaps in particular?
Yeah, I think so, because there are so many slow corner exits, but it was morning and the weather was kind of warm, so that causes it, I think.
Certainly could be a factor, of course. And well, thank you very much for joining us. Just on behalf of the whole of your team, any sponsors you guys would like to give a shout out to?
Sure. Thanks to Joel Real Timing for sponsoring us, and of course the guys that designed our logo at Nukkarepo at Design.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for joining us, the boys from Black Star Racing, Mikko Nomi, Juuso Hitala, and Petteri Kotavara. Whilst we wait for your race winner, if he's not too shy, we will talk to 6th place finisher today, Sindre Setas. Sindre, tough race in this one. The cars were tricky, the track was narrow. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, I was from the start off. I was stuck behind Tommy for a bit too long, and then I got past him in the pit stops, but then all the Finns were gone. So
it certainly was a busy one for you guys. Good track for you, or the rest of the season looking more promising?
I turned up with next to no preparations, and I don't really like this track, so hopefully my next race in this series will be better.
Hopefully it will be. Well, any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
No, I just wanted to thank my team, Blue Flag Racing, and shout out to Victor as well for being the second best Swede, I think.
Well, there you go. Sindre Setas coming home in the 6th place. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, finally, we'll get a chance to chat to Carl Fredrik Herzog, who came home today in the 13th spot. Also, one of the series organisers. Carl, a busy first round here of the Nordic Challenge. And, well, there's some Finns you're going to have to try to stop winning.
Yeah, we tried to devise a plan by cheating, but it didn't work out. So we'll have to come up with a new plan for next round.
Of course, the racing notoriously tricky here at Zandvoort. The rest of the season obviously has a lot of potential for racing in some fantastic circuits we're going to. But okay, from a driver standpoint, tough race here. From an organizer standpoint, good race.
Yeah, for me it started with a bad qualification, and then there was a car braking ahead of me on the first lap. I had to brake, and the guy behind had nowhere to go, so I was spun around. So I'm pleased to come home at least in 13th. From an organizing point of view, it's nice to see so many fast guys here. We hope for even more next round.
Well, hopefully we will see just that. Seemingly a fantastic race for the first round here in the Nordic Challenge. It has been certainly an awesome one. I'd like to just give a quick shout out once again to series sponsors CU Surveillance Solutions, Riz Bilglas Car Franchise, and Team Vikings Nordic Endurance Team. This has been a broadcast from RaceSpotTV here of the Nordic Challenge Series. is back very soon. I've been Richard Whiteford. I've been joined by Jake Sperry. Thank you and good night.
Vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris Bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 0909 eller besøk bilglass.no.